Hello everyone, this is Persephone, and today I want to share with you something that happened very recently on Night Flirt, and it's honestly the creepiest person I've ever encountered probably in my entire life. And definitely the creepiest on Night Flirt. Overall, I make this with zero hatred towards him. I think he needs mental help, and with zero hatred towards the site. It's a good site and it allows me to block people who creep me out or harass me. That being said, no one ever told me that these things could happen. I mean, if you count true crime episodes, yes, they gave me an idea that this may happen, but you know how it is. You think it's not going to happen to you. Before we get into the story, I want to share a few things very quickly that are very important. First of all, please start living in the real world and please start practicing some common sense. I had some people who acted very offended and I had to block them on Night Flirt who found me from YouTube, so I have to make this clear. I have discussed some things here on YouTube, including a simple one-time medical procedure that removes you from the gene pool that Night Flirt does not allow. Unlike the people who contact me who have no shame, no common sense, and don't respect other people's boundaries, I respect the platform that I work at and their rules. So even if I discussed something on YouTube, that doesn't mean I'm allowed to discuss it on Night Flirt, and I'm not going to risk my very good job there for you. I don't know you, and honestly, I don't care about random people online. If you respect me, I'm going to respect you. If you don't respect me, I'm going to block you. The second thing is that you have to practice common sense in a way that when you don't see me online, I'm not online. What does it mean that I'm not online? That I cannot answer to you instantly. This is the reason why I deactivated OnlyFans, because I had people complaining about this problem 24/7. Last time I checked, I'm not an AI yet, so I still need to eat, to sleep, to have a life. I'm going to tell you something really shocking here. I work to make money to actually live a life. There are times when I'm terminally online, 9 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours. After 16 hours, after being a dystopian wage earner for 16 hours, I have to go to bed. And how is it that these people contact me when I'm sleeping and then they say, "Mistress, where are you? Mistress, how are you? Mistress, why don't you respond?" First of all, I'm not your mistress. I never agreed to accept you as my sub. And with this attitude, I'm not even going to say hi to you. Second, when I say to someone, "Please message me when you see me online," and they continue to bombard me with messages when I'm not online, well, I'm going to block you. I don't have any more patience for people who don't have basic manners, basic decency, basic common sense. You want instant gratification? Great, but there is a small problem. Being dehumanized isn't my thing. So if you dehumanize me, if your real king is the slave who is actually thinking he's a master and he's stopping from the bottom, you're going to have to find someone else. Or even better, you're going to have to find a psychiatrist because this behavior is abusive. Now that these things are out of the way, if your goal is to harass me night and day or to make me talk about things that they're going to get me fired, there are going to be consequences. And last but not least, I made a post on the community section where I said I'm not going to meet people that I talk to online. And I shared an example about hospital food. I said I'm a very easygoing person when it comes to food. I can genuinely eat hospital food and enjoy it. I've eaten hospital food many times in my life when I had very severe health problems. If the hospital had a delivery service delivering food, would I ever buy from them? Hell no. There are much better options. So it's a similar thing with the men I talk to online. You pay me to talk to you, I can talk to you, and there are actually many times that I enjoy talking to you. Do I want to use my boyfriend? Not really. You need to start living in the real world, not for my sake, for yours. People who assume I'm single, people who assume I'm into them, people who assume we have things in common because I'm nice and I'm interested in them, live in the real world. You pay me to talk to you. The interaction is imbalanced from the get-go. The interaction is curated from the get-go. But enough with this. I don't want to make this into a ranting. I'm going to say that I feel very humbled by today's interaction with that client. Actually, it wasn't today. It was a few days ago. But it feels like it was today because I'm traumatized. I always say to people, both when it comes to spicy workers and to people who ask advice about narcissistic abuse, interact with a person for 6 months before you make a decision about them, about what kind of person they are, because in 6 months, most people show their true colors. This is something that I have read in multiple books about recovery from narcissistic abuse and other types of abuse. In this case, the client that I'm going to describe, let's call him Jerry. It's not his real name, and his identity is still going to be protected. Jerry was one of the very first people I talked to when I joined Night Flirt, and I was very nervous because I didn't know what am I going to encounter. So far I had done things that had mainly to do with coming and content creation, and I'm going to be honest with you, when you can just show your body or use your body to get people distracted or get people to pay you, and all of a sudden you have to rely on just your voice, because I wasn't doing phone with cam back then, it can be very, very stressful. And Jerry was actually a great person. He enjoyed many femdom kings that I was also interested in, and long story short, he started calling me at least once or twice a week, and the call was at least 50 to 70 minutes, and my prices do go up and down, but you have to assume that I was making between $100 to $200 just from him. He would also buy goodie bags, he would chat with me when he wasn't available to call, and so on. So I would consider him a very good regular. Not a whale, but still it's nice to know that you have income coming in from one person. Also, when you talk so much to someone, you are bound to find more things about them and their personal and daily life besides their preferences. So Jerry told me he was divorced. He divorced many years ago. He had 2 adult children. He lived by himself, and he was in his late 50s. And he had a job that was some kind of blue-collar night job, and that meant that he slept during the day and worked during the night. And if you have ever done that, because I haven't, I still do sometimes, it can be very isolating from the civilian society, that when everyone else is out and about, you're still sleeping. So it makes it very, very difficult to maintain a social life. And pretty much on Sunday, he had a mom of very advanced age. She was over 100, and he would go visit her. So it was only Saturday that he could go out with his friends and maybe go to drink at the bar and maybe go try to date a woman. And he seemed like a very lonely person, but not a bad person. And I respect people who work very hard, so I had nothing against him. In fact, I was very happy that there was someone who was less creepy and less toxic than there's so many people who just want to move in with me. You know how I'm waging internal war against these people. That they're constantly trying to insert themselves into my real life, which, by the way, totally ruins the fantasy. I do enjoy talking to people that I don't know and listening to their confessions, the secret, having fun with them. I'm using the word fun because it's YouTube. But I don't enjoy it when people say, oh, what we have is real, add me on Snapchat. I don't have Snapchat, and even if I did, I wouldn't add random people. But anyway, so Jerry, at some point when on April 2023, the site was down because we had the hacker attacks, the DDoS attacks, disappeared. And he was one of these people that, because he was older, he didn't know how to install a VPN, and he didn't know how to use all of that stuff that other people did to bypass the problems, because after the site was restored and it took over 1 month to restore it, it was only accessible through a VPN, and you could only access it from specific states, and you had to pretend to be in the US for me. So it was very stressful, and I assumed that Jerry just didn't know what to do, and maybe he moved on, maybe he went to some other platform, and to be honest, I didn't think much of him. I thought maybe he found a girlfriend and he moved on. And one day, recently, like about a month ago, he contacted me again. And he was saying that he was trying to reach out to me and he couldn't, and eventually someone helped him access his account again, and he was so happy to talk to me, blah, 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 what people say in these cases. And honestly, I was genuinely happy to hear from him again. I asked him how he was. He said his mom passed away. I said, I'm sorry. We did the usual sessions. And he called me a couple more times, and then he said, you know, in December I turned 60. And I didn't think much of it because I don't really care about people's age. I'm not an ageist. You could be 20. As long as you're over 18, it's fine. And I was like, okay, so what are you going to do about your birthday? Do you have any special plans? Maybe you're going to do sessions with a real dominatrix. Are you going to see your family? And guys, the moment this man turned 60, it all started to go downhill from there in a way that I believe that women have a problem with their age because of patriarchy and ageism and the whole expired goods women and the wall and all that. But This was unlike anything I've ever seen in my entire life. The first symptom was that he was bringing up the fact that he's going to be 60 literally in every 2 sentences. I tried to change the topic probably 100 times, because when you're talking for 70 minutes with someone, that's a lot of time to be talking about how they're 60. I tried bringing up spicy topics. I tried bringing up other topics. Nothing worked. It was like, yeah, well, I decided to call you because now that I'm 60, I decided to be here more and have some more fun because I work so hard and that's difficult at 60. And when you're 60 and you don't see your children very much because you don't have much in common with people that they are not 60, it goes something like that. I kid you not. Now you're going to say, Persephone, white people's problems, nothing to do in the weekend. You're regurgitating garbage no one cares about. I'll get to the true crime point. On our third call, I think it was our third call, he says, I went out with some of my friends who are married and their wives wanted me to meet some of their friends. They were trying to set me up with some of their friends that they're close to me in age, not yet 60, but I told them I don't want to, because I've met someone and I'm very happy with her, so there is no need for me to meet other women. It's a long distance relationship, but I'm very committed and I don't want to go on dates behind her back. And me, in my idiocy, it didn't even cross my mind, because I knew Jerry for 2 years. And in my mind, after you cross the 6-month milestone, you are normal as someone who calls the lines can be. And I said, wow, Jerry, I'm so happy for you. I didn't know you have a girlfriend. How did you two meet? And he said, well, I was talking to them about you. And this is where I feel I say this and I feel triggered and traumatized. It's like the sirens, police car sirens, start rolling in my brain. At first, I couldn't understand. I was like, what do you mean you were talking to them about me? And he said, I'm talking about our relationship. You are my long distance girlfriend. I was thinking, this can't be happening. I mean, as someone who comes from a mental illness dynasty with many schizophrenics, I finally joined the schizo side. And I don't say this to offend schizophrenics, but I was thinking this is how it starts. You just start having delusions, right? There is no way he means me. He's joking. Is this some kind of late Halloween joke? So I started asking follow-up questions, and this man has been telling everyone, including his adult children and his own mom before she passed away, that he has a long-distance girlfriend and they're very much in love and they're going to meet one day. And I was like, oh, I didn't know how to respond. Usually I cut off these things right away, but he caught me so shocked that I was just listening. And then he started to become very sappy, and he started saying, I wish you could travel to meet me one day. Nothing sexual, just to go to the bar and then go for dinner and then go watch football so I can introduce you to my friends, because they have been pestering me about you and wanting to meet you. And then he started to say, is there a way that I can get a PO box so I can send you letters and they can send you some money? And I don't like that we're dependent on night flirt. And what if one day the site goes down again? We won't be able to be in contact. I have several things to comment on here, but first things first. I told him this is not possible. And he started saying that he's not going to meet anyone. He's going to work hard so that he can spend more time with me and our long distance relationship. And anyway, he said so many creepy things. And some of these things, my brain has honestly blocked them. And I don't feel ashamed to admit that this was traumatizing. Because people are going to say, you have to be alpha, you have to be a dom and all of that crap. I'm going to say, for me, admitting and owning up to what's really going on is pretty alpha in a world of cowards, as far as I'm concerned. And also my first priority is to protect other people going through the same, or who want to join the industry and they think, oh, I'm just sexy on the phone and I make millions of dollars. So I'm going to share things exactly as they are, or at least exactly as I experience them, no sugarcoating. And the long story short is that I ghosted and blocked this person without an explanation. And the reason why I did that, which is out of character, usually I always tell people this is not going to work out, is because I'm so creeped out that I don't want to talk to him ever again. And also because I don't think that I have a logical explanation, because there are so many things wrong with this situation. Have you seen these paintings that the longer you look at them, the creepier and more disordered they appear? That I used to be obsessed with that for some reason in the past, an autistic interest, that you look at the painting and it appears normal, and the more you look at it, the more fucked up elements appear, to the point that it's a monstrosity at the end. First of all, we are not in a long distance relationship. You are paying me by the minute, and you have been paying me by the minute for 2 years. Second, before you go around telling everyone in your family your fantasies / delusional stories about your long distance relationship, how about you tell me? Because I was going to bring you back, park the spaceship back to planet Earth, and tell you that, I'm sorry, we're not in a relationship. Another very important factor is that the invasive thing of the P.O. box. When you have someone's P.O. box, you get at least their location. To use American terms, you can find their state. Now you're going to say, Persephone, early paranoid schizophrenia. How can someone find you from just your state? They can. If they think that you're in a long-distance relationship and they are very motivated to meet you, you are one private investigator away from showing up in front of your house with flowers and a ring to propose to you, since you're in a serious committed relationship. And since this man is 60, which he said to me approximately 374 times in 2 days, he is old enough to know that with P.O. boxes come real life information. And you see the creepiness of, he doesn't ask my real life information, he asks for the P.O. box so he can figure out the rest on his own, because in some subconscious level at least, he knows that what he's doing is wrong. I don't want to start receiving creepy letters and creepier money that I don't deserve because I'm not his girlfriend. Another factor that was exceptionally shocking to me is that why are so many people thinking that just because I'm nice to them, we actually have a single thing in common? I have read the very sociopathic, I admit, book of How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's extremely effective. I have read hundreds of books on this subject, and still that would be my #1 book if you want to become very popular and very likable. And the biggest line from that book is, if you want to be interesting, be interested. So when I approach new people, especially when I'm getting paid to keep them on the phone, obviously I'm going to be interested about what they like to make the phone call last longer. That's basic marketing. So if someone is into going to the bar, I will ask questions about that. If someone is into drinking alcohol or seeing their friends to watch football together, I'm going to ask questions about that too. I'm not going to disclose to them the fact that I never go to bars, that I don't even drink, and I never plan to drink again, because now that my health has stabilized, I'm not going to mix any kind of medication with alcohol. And honestly, I hate alcohol because my mother was a functioning alcoholic until she wasn't functioning and I was being abused, but that's a sob story for other videos. And also that my interest in football is exactly zero, and always has been. So why would I date a man so much older than me, that we have absolutely nothing in common, lives in the other side of the world, and it's only practically available 1 day per week, because the rest of the day he's going to be sleeping all day? He didn't factor any of that. It's like all of that escaped his mind. Another thing that was very creepy is, I wish we could meet, but just to go to the bar and not for sex. Oh yeah, right. Because it wasn't that all of my life the only thing everyone wanted from me was basically sex. Even when I was a minor. And I was relentlessly sexually harassed from God knows how many old predators, and my parents did nothing. I mean, does this person think I was born yesterday? We would meet in real life and you wouldn't want us to do anything sexual? Come on. Then why do you introduce me as your long-distance girlfriend to everyone and their dog and their dog's best friend? The whole thing has left me shaken. When I say I've seen it all, I've seen the evilness of people, I've seen the craziness of people, I've seen the delusions of people, I've seen nothing. I know nothing. I could say that I feel like quite the idiot right now. And this was from someone that, if you asked me, name one person that you know that you would give an over 90% chance that they are normal, that would be Jerry. And look at how wrong I was. I was totally wrong. I'm making this video because I want to say several things to the people who watch me that maybe they're going to benefit them. I wish someone told me earlier. It's okay. Better late than never. Thing number one is that even the best regular most likely has an expiration date. I used to think that I would be talking to Jerry for as long as I do this job. I was wrong. Thing number two is that I don't know what happens in America. It seems that common rules of dating and sexual attraction have become long lost knowledge, something like the Atlantis. Sometime it existed. At some point, it sunk below the sea. No one even tries to find it anymore. I don't know if it is massive American narcissism, if it's the wrong way many people are raised over there. Of course, not everyone, to prevent people from saying, not all guys, Persephone. I know the not all guys support station is going to contact me again. But it seems to me that people say, I'm going to date you because I feel like it. And it's like, I'm not a human being. I don't have a say, and compatibility is a foreign aspect. Again, I'm going to use myself as an example because I don't want to offend anyone. I find Korean and Chinese men the most attractive men on the planet, by far. And specifically this type of actors that you see in the action dramas that are like 6'2" and they have a six-pack and they look like paintings. I would never even think of approaching such a man to hit on him in real life. First of all, I don't hit on men first. Call me ancient and pick me, I don't care. And second, because I consider them totally way out of my league. And we wouldn't have anything in common because they're from a different culture, they have a totally different job than me, and even if someone was interested in me, let's say because you're going to say, Persephone, don't have low self-esteem, after all, you're white, and white in Asia makes you a demigod, okay. Even if one of them was interested in me, I would never assume that they want to be exclusive with me, they want to marry me, they're crazy about me and all that. I would be extremely careful. And I'm not saying that I'm on the same level as a celebrity in these countries. Obviously, compared to that, 50,000 on YouTube and talking about the creepy things I talk about is literally nothing. But I'm just saying, I wish I had the confidence of people like Jerry, that I talk to thousands of men every month, and it doesn't even cross his mind that maybe I have better options than someone who is pretty much 3 generations behind. I'm going to be toxic here for a second. I said the worst thing out of all. The one thing that even if I could overlook everything else, literally everything else, let's say I forget the age difference, I forget the thing that he lives practically only during the night, the fact that he's in a fantasy relationship, the fact that he doesn't respect rules, boundaries, common sense, anything, the fact that he dates me without even letting me know first. Let's say we forget all of that. There is one thing between me and Jerry that is an absolute deal breaker. And I would say whoever could guess this thing can get a really good idea about who I am as a person. And as autistic as what I'm going to say may sound, as shocking as what I'm going to say may sound, there is one reason that I wouldn't date Jerry even if he was the last man on earth. He can't even use an email. Someone signed him up on Night Flat and he was able to buy my goodie bags and chat with me, but this is something that he cannot do again on his own. So what happened is that what he did is he saved the extension number. Every flat has an extra number that is basically the phone number that the site shows to the clients because they don't want the clients to have your actual phone number. He has saved this number on his phone and he would call me from there. But I always assume that he has access to his real account. But after the site went down and he didn't have his email written somewhere else, he cannot create another Gmail, let's say, and make a new account, or create a Gmail and message the site and say, hey, I've lost my login information to my account, can you please restore it? He's that technophobic or that indifferent to technology. I live and breathe for this kind of stuff. And I'm not going to say I have hundreds of emails, which I do, which is pretty fucked up. I'm just going to say that this person doesn't use a computer. What would we have in common? For me, the fact that people exist who don't use a computer and they live in the US is I would be less shocked if you told me aliens landed in your backyard and we now have martial law than this information. When he told me, because at some point I asked him playfully, I said, "Hey, Jerry, I have so many new goodie bags. Don't you want to see me? Don't you miss seeing me?" He's like, "Yeah, but I can't. I can't access the site anymore because someone helped me a very long time ago and now I'm not in contact with that person and I'm embarrassed to ask new people because they're going to know it's a sex site." I was like, holy fuck. How? You are in the US, you know. So, anyway, again, I'm not saying this to shame this person. It's just me screaming into the void that I know nothing about the human condition at the end of the day. Despite all of the things that I've tried to learn and read over the years, I'm still as ignorant as they want. This is how it feels like right now. And my parents that they used to say you're just an autist who has no common ground with everyone else, maybe they were right. Maybe there is something wrong with me. Is there something wrong with me? Is this behavior normal? Why is this happening so much? Why do so many people assume I'm into them because I'm nice to them? Was acting my true calling and I missed out on an Oscar and in some parallel universe I'm giving a speech at the Oscars and getting my award? There's no way. I'm autistic. I'm not even supposed to be convincing. I'm supposed to be ostracized and living in a room talking to myself. What kind of other dimension have I slipped into without realizing? I'm just very sad and disappointed, and I didn't want to ghost him, but honestly, I don't know how to explain it to him, and I don't want to get paid to break someone's heart. Hopefully, he's going to move on. He was able to date women in the past. Maybe he's going to be forced to find someone again now that this coping mechanism has been cut off. And another thing that really pissed me off about Jerry is that he spoke very badly about the wives of his married friends and their own female friends that they wanted to set him up with. And he started saying these women are too old, they are in their 50s, they are too boring. I've met some of them, nothing to talk about. And I was thinking, you call them too old when they are still at least 8 to 9 years younger than you. And you call them boring when they went to the same places you went to and talked to you. But you are not all the boring in comparison to me. You are hot and interesting. One thing that was very stressful about this man is that every time he would call me, he would talk about the same things. It's like he lived Groundhog Day. Oh, so this day I did my laundry, I had extra laundry, and then I went out with my friend Braden from Jerkwater Heights, and he brought his girlfriend, and Braden worked at the same job as me, and he was a supervisor in Section 58. And in Section 58, there was a lot of traffic at the parking lot. Every day was stuff like that. And he would go on and on and on and on. I would just put the phone down, go out, do something else, come back 10 minutes later, and I wouldn't have missed out on anything because the next phone call is going to be the same information. It's just that Jerry did something different this week. He had more laundry, or he went to see his sister who has a dog named Jack, and Jack's friend is the neighbor's dog. And before he died of boredom and stopped watching the video, it was something like that. So long story short, this video could be a very nice foreshadowing to a true crime podcast that one day Jerry found one of these women and he showed up to stalk her, and it would be a very nice stalking story that I enjoy watching this that ends up with Jerry landing in prison, unfortunately. So you have to count your losses and understand that money isn't everything in this world, and there are easier and less dangerous ways to make money, and just stop.